They all laughed at him in college, until he came back rich, powerful, and standing beside the woman they never expected. They used to laugh at me, at my stutter, at my clothes, at the way I sat alone in the cafeteria, pretending not to hear the whispers behind me. But what hurt the most wasn't the strangers, it was her. Madeline. She had the kind of beauty that made the world pause. I remember the way her eyes flickered toward me once in college, not with cruelty, but pity. That hurt more than the laughter. She was dating Daniel back then, the golden boy everyone adored. They all were untouchable, and me. I was the invisible one. But invisible doesn't mean unworthy. It just means unnoticed, for now. 10 years later, the tables have turned. I'm no longer the boy they mocked. I'm a man now. Wealthy, respected. Alone, yes, but only by choice. When I was invited to speak at our university's alumni event, I didn't hesitate. I walked in wearing a tailored suit and a quiet confidence they didn't recognize until Madeline looked up from the back row and froze. She wasn't with Daniel anymore. And when her eyes met mine this time, there was no pity. There was something else. Something real. "Hi," she said softly after the speech. "You've changed." I smiled. "So have you." But I wasn't here to show off. I was here to rebuild something that once slipped through my fingers, something I wasn't sure I still believed in. And maybe, just maybe, she was here for the same reason. The applause faded, but her voice echoed louder in my head than anything else that night. Double quotes high. You've changed. What she didn't know was how much I had changed for her. Madeline and I were never friends, not really. But back in college, I used to tutor students for extra cash. Once, she had walked into the library by mistake while I was helping a friend with statistics. She smiled politely, apologized, and I couldn't speak. Not because of my stutter, but because it felt like the universe had paused for a second. She never looked at me again. Not then. I found out later from a friend that she thought I was sweet. But not her type. That phrase haunted me for years. It wasn't hatred that scarred me. It was being overlooked by someone I once admired from afar. Now here she was. Divorced from the golden boy, seated across from me at the alumni dinner. Her hair pulled back, face softer, but eyes sharper. "You always were the quiet one," she said over the clink of silverware. I didn't have much reason to speak back then. I replied. She studied me for a moment. "Maybe you just weren't speaking to the right people." There it was. A flicker of something unresolved. As the evening wore on, we kept talking, guarded at first, then gently curious. But behind every smile, there was tension neither of us dared to name. Regret, redemption, or something else we weren't ready to face. One thing was clear. This wasn't over. And neither of us truly wanted it to be. Madeline's laugh was softer now. More careful. As we walked together toward the parking lot after dinner, the night air between us felt thick with words we hadn't said. Then, out of nowhere, she asked, "Do you remember the Lake trip junior year?" I stopped. That trip I hadn't gone. I wasn't invited. Daniel said you were too reserved, she added, avoiding my eyes. I should have spoken up. I wanted to. The old pain stirred again, but something else rose with it, a realization. She had noticed me back then, just not enough to fight for me, and now she wasn't with Daniel anymore, but he still hovered like a ghost between us. I'd seen him earlier that evening, shaking hands with the same alumni board that had just asked me to be their youngest ever keynote speaker. He saw me too, and he wasn't smiling. That wasn't ego. That was warning. He and I were no longer boys. We were men with reputations, histories, and secrets. And somehow, Madeline was at the center of it all. Later that night, a text lit up my phone. Unknown number. "Careful who you think she really is." The past, it seemed, wasn't finished with me yet. And Madeline. Maybe she wasn't just a lost chance. Maybe she was part of something much bigger. But the question burned deeper than ever. Was she trying to make things right? Or rewrite the past on her terms? I didn't sleep that night. That anonymous text kept flashing in my mind, like a warning light I couldn't switch off. Careful who you think she really is. Was it Daniel? Was he jealous? Or trying to protect me from something I didn't see? The next morning, I met Madeline for coffee, neutral ground. She smiled when I arrived, but I noticed the way her hand trembled slightly as she stirred her drink. "I'm sorry about last night," she said quietly. "I didn't mean to drag the past into the present." "But it's already here," I said. And someone clearly doesn't want us talking. Her expression shifted, guilt clouding her eyes. There are things I never told you. About Daniel, about college. Things I regret staying silent about. Then tell me now. She hesitated, glanced around the cafe like someone might be watching. Daniel didn't just break up with me, he destroyed me. After the lake trip, I found out he'd cheated. But by then, rumors were already spreading about me. About you. He said we had a thing. I blinked. What? He lied, said I'd thrown myself at you. That's why they mocked you. It was never about your stutter or your clothes. It was him. The walls around my memory collapsed like paper. The humiliation. The isolation. It all made sense now. Why didn't you say anything? I asked, voice low. I was scared and stupid. But I'm not anymore. My phone buzzed again. Another, unknown message. If she tells you everything, you'll lose everything. I looked at her. She was shaking. And I didn't know if I was falling in love or falling into a trap. Before I could respond, Madeline's face drained of color. She leaned forward, whispering, "He's here." I turned slowly. Daniel stood just outside the cafe's glass wall, sunglasses on, arms crossed, staring at us. Not angry, not emotional, just waiting. Madeline's hands gripped the edge of the table. "You don't understand. He's not just jealous. He's dangerous. He's your ex," I said, trying to steady my voice. "He can't touch you anymore." "You're wrong," she whispered. "There's more. I was going to tell you, but I didn't know how." My phone buzzed again. This time, a photo got me. Speaking on stage. Her, sitting in the crowd, but it was the caption that made my stomach drop. "Hope your investors don't mind secrets. Let's see how clean your legacy really is." Daniel wasn't bluffing. He had something on me. Or was he making it up? I couldn't think straight. I stood up too fast. "What is this, Madeline? Are you part of it? Are you setting me up?" Her eyes widened, tears immediately welling. "No. I swear, Daniel's been tracking me ever since I left. I didn't know he'd come this far." "Then tell me what he has." She hesitated. For too long, and in that pause, trust shattered. "You're not telling me everything," I said quietly. "Which means I can't trust you." Her lips parted to answer, but the door chimed. Daniel walked in. Calm, composed, like this was all part of his plan. "Let's all talk," he said smoothly, "like old friends." And just like that, everything spiraled. The tension inside the cafe was suffocating. Daniel sat across from us, cool and calculated, like a man holding a winning hand. "I told you to stay away," he said, eyes on Madeline. "But I guess you never learned." Madeline's voice cracked. "You can't control me anymore." He leaned back, smirking. "Oh, I'm not here for you. I'm here for him." Then he slid a flash drive across the table toward me. "Everything you've buried. Your father's bankruptcy. Your forged application. The money you borrowed under a fake name. I've got it all." My breath stopped. Those were ghosts I thought I buried forever. Desperation. Survival. Mistakes. I made before I had anything. Madeline stared at me, shocked. "Is it true?" "Yes," I whispered. "But it was years ago. Before I became who I am now." Daniel's grin widened. "Too bad the world doesn't care about your redemption arc." For a moment, I saw my empire unraveling. The respect, the success, the life I'd built from the ground up, all because of a past I tried to outrun. But then Madeline stood. Her voice was steady. "Release it, Daniel. If he loses everything, I'll testify under oath about what you did to me. About what you covered up." Daniel's face darkened. "You think they'll believe you?" "Try me," she snapped. He froze. For the first time, he looked afraid. He left without another word. And in that silence, I looked at her, truly looked. She didn't save me to feel heroic. She saved me because, somehow, she still believed in me. "I never stopped caring," she whispered, "and neither did I." In the weeks that followed, everything changed, but not in the way I feared. Daniel vanished from our lives. The flash drive. It never saw the light of day. Maybe it was bluff. Or maybe he finally realized his control was gone. Either way, he lost. Madeline and I didn't rush into anything. We took our time. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and trust has to be rebuilt piece by piece. We had both lived in the shadows of our pasts for far too long, me, hiding my mistakes. Her, living with his but now, we were finally free. I spoke to my investors, came clean about the things I once buried. Not all of them stayed, but the ones who mattered did. They respected the man I'd become, not the boy I used to be. And as for Madeline, she found her own voice again. She started mentoring young women who'd experienced emotional abuse, helping them reclaim their power. We weren't perfect, but we were real, and in a world that once laughed at me, I stood tall, with a woman beside me who saw me for everything I was, and everything I was, single quotes T. Because in the end, the best kind of revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's living a life so full, they can't touch it. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?